Hey there, Brian Floyd of the Campaign School here, your guide to winning your election. And today we're with part two of our online case study, I guess our video case study, of a race that's going on where I live in Pasadena, California for the 7th City Council District. There are 5 candidates in the race. However, it has become a two-person race between the appointed incumbent Andy Wilson and his funded challenger Phil Hosp. So today, we're going to talk about positive mail. These two candidates have been sending a lot of mail. I think Phil Hosp first sent mail right before Christmas or right after Christmas. And being that it's February 27th as I'm recording this, I've received a lot of mail from both Andy Wilson and Phil Hosp. So those are the two that have emerged as the contenders in this race. And in the last video I did comparing the signs of Phil Hosp and Andy Wilson, I said at the beginning that I have no affiliation with either candidate, that I do not work for either candidate, and I've never met either candidate. Well, that was true until the point that I finished the video. I left here right after I finished the video, and who do I run into on the street but Andy Wilson on his way to a campaign event a block from where I live. So I said hello to him. He asked me for his vote, which you're supposed to do, by the way. Always, always, always ask for the vote. I did not commit to him. He was a little concerned about that. And I said, well, to be honest with you, I run a site called the Campaign School. And right now, I just finished a video reviewing your sign versus Phil's sign. I'm going to do some other things. He asked me what I thought of his signs. I said, I think Phil's are better, as you can see in the video. He was a little concerned about that. He said, but don't you like the logo of the city hall I put up there? I said, no, I think it distracts from the sign and I think it distracts from your name. So I was honest with him as I'm honest with you about all these things. And today, like I said, we're going to look at their mail. Now, to be honest, I said I've gotten a lot of mail from these two. I really have. I'm glad there are no other races going on because my mailbox would probably be too full, which is the case in most elections. I'm a high propensity voter. I don't miss elections. So every campaign, especially every contested campaign, targets me. And if you're a high propensity voter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get the mail, you get the phone calls, you get the emails, you get it all. So today we're going to look at positive mailers. I want to look at a positive mailer that Andy Wilson has sent, and I want to look at a positive mailer that Phil Hosp has sent, and look at what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. Now, on the Campaign School, we list 7 rules for glossy mailers. We have 7 rules for glossy mailers. The first one is, first rule of a glossy mailer is make them big. Make them big. They got to jump out in the mailbox. They have to be a very good size. They have to be something that the voter can't get lost in with all the other mail. It can't be a little postcard. It shouldn't be anything that's too small. It needs to jump out. Speaking of jumping out, the biggest thing on that mail, rule number 2, is the biggest thing on your glossy mailers needs to be your name. It needs to be the thing that jumps out. And there's a very important reason for this. In my business, we say that your mail has to pass the 5-second test. It actually may be the 3-second test these days. The mail has to make an impression on the voter from the time they grab it from their mailbox, look at it, and then throw it in the trash. The truth is, most of these mailers are going to go in the trash. Actually, they're all going to go in the trash at some point unless you keep them like I do, and some people do keep them, especially political junkies. But you've got to make an impression. That name ID is so important. Just like name ID is the most important with your signs, the name ID is the most important thing on your mail. Your name has to stand out to the voters. Now, the third rule, especially because, once again, we're looking at the 3 to 5 second test, you need to use eye-catching words and imagery on your mail. They have to jump out. You have to punch through. If you're going to be one mailer amongst 5, if not possibly 15 mailers, depending on what's going on that day, your mail needs to stand out. Eye-catching words and imagery are very important with this. The other thing, now, once you've punched through, and the voter is going to take a chance to either read your mail or skim through it, most likely skim through it, just because most people skim through everything they read now, but you must make it readable, which means you must make it skimmable. So the rules for that is minimal text plus big font. Minimal text plus big font. Use as few words as possible, use as few sentences as possible, have headlines, have tags in there that are big. And I would not use anything that's below 14-point font on the supporting text that goes underneath a headline. But that's what makes them readable mail. The other thing is you want to use plenty of pictures and images. A picture says 1,000 words, they say. This is so important in campaigns. Use pictures, use good pictures, and use good pictures of yourself, please. The other thing is you always want to, I guess this would be rule number 6, you always want to include your website on there. Your website on there does 2 things. One, it validates that you're a real candidate. A candidate without a website in the 21st century isn't a real candidate. Let's be real honest. The other thing is, for those voters who do want to read more, those voters who do want to find out more about you, that's where they go to get the information. You can put more detailed information on your website. It doesn't need to be in the mail, and frankly, it shouldn't be in the mail. And the 7th thing, perhaps the most important thing legally, is you always need to properly and legally disclose, show who the mail is coming from. You want to have all of those things on your mailers, and if you do those 7 things, you'll have a winning glossy mailer. So right now, let's look at glossy mailers that a positive mailer from both from Andy Wilson and a positive mailer from Phil Hosp. Andy Wilson sent out a really nice big brochure. It folds to 8.5 by 11 inches, so it's actually printed on 11 by 17. And, so he passes the Make 'em Big test. Now, his name being the biggest thing on here, you can tell on the front, his name is not the biggest thing on here. That is not good. And then on the back, his name does stand out in the corner. It's properly, discloses who the sender is. That's good. But his name could still be much, much, much bigger. Now, is he using eye-catching words and images? The front, absolutely not. I mean, the white shirt on Andy, the white shirt on the lady, and the white shirt and the white background, it just really, really, really makes this kind of a bland mailer. There's nothing special about it. And the back is the same. There's really nothing that's making you jump out. And when you open it up, there's a big picture of Andy Wilson and the former mayor, Bill Bogart. And, that's a good picture, but there's so much more that could be here. And the imagery could be much more eye-catching, I think. Now, where this mailer really, really falls down is it violates the minimal text plus big font. This is just way too text heavy. This could all be bullet points with maybe a point or 2 backing it up. Now, I do like that he stuck with 5 points. If you're going to bullet points in your mail on your campaign plan, 3 to 5 is what I recommend. No less than 3, no more than 5. But let's take a look at this. In this corner here, it says, in his short time on the city council, Andy Wilson has had a strong impact. Getting things done at City Hall isn't easy or automatic. It requires experience with city issues, plus an ability to work well with other council members. Andy Wilson checks every box. That's why he's been so effective for our district. 1 sentence. Andy Wilson is getting the job done. Boom. That's it. That's all that needs to be there. On the back, I really think that those pictures could be bigger. There should be a picture of Andy back here. His name should be bigger. And all of those quotes should be minimized to a sentence or maybe even blown up a little bit. I do think there are ways to cut those sentences. I like what he's trying to do. I don't think he needs to go off the fake news and what Phil Hosp is saying about him. There is a back and forth. These guys are duking it out, so maybe he does. But I don't think this mail serves that purpose for that. And as I said earlier, he properly and legally discloses his campaign on there, which is good. Now let's go over to Phil Hosp's mail. Phil Hosp, oh boy, I got to tell you, I really don't like this piece. I know what he's trying to do, but I just don't think it's working. So first things first, make them big. Yes, this is an 8.5 by 11 mailer. And I like the size. It's a good size. But look, once again, Phil Hosp's name is not the biggest thing on here. Now, is it twice there on the front? Yeah, absolutely. But Phil's name needs to be bigger on there. Now, using eye-catching words and imagery. This picture of Phil is nice, but I don't think it's getting the job done. I think there should be a current picture of Phil. And what he's trying to say here is Phil Hosp will put you first. Pasadena belongs to the residents. What I really think he's trying to say, especially when you look at it as a kid playing soccer at the Rose Bowl, I knew Pasadena was a special place. I think it needs to say something much more substantive and much more simple. Phil Hosp is part of us. Phil Hosp is one of us. Phil Hosp is one of our community. Is part of our community. I think it needs to say that. I think you do want to show pictures of him growing up. You could have a collage of pictures around him here, but also a collage of pictures with him at different places in the community with different community leaders. I think that would work really well. Now, on the back, the back really falls apart because it's all text. I mean, with the exception of the closed to public and the picture of Phil, it's all text. His name is not big or prominent on here whatsoever. Now, I do like the size of the font, but it is just too text heavy. This is not skimmable. And the other thing it's doing is it's not telling the right story. The front side is saying Phil is a part of the community. The other side is saying that decisions are being made in the back room and you're not being represented at City Hall. So it's disjointed in that regard. And I think this really simply should be Phil's a part of our community and bullet point 3 to 5 of what he is standing up for or what he believes in should he be elected to office. I think that's good. Phil's website is not on here. That is a problem. And also going back to always using the pictures. The picture that closed to the public is bigger than Phil's picture, and Phil has a nice picture. His picture should be big on both the front and the back, but there should be multiple pictures. And once again, like I said, this is about Phil being part of the community, or it should be. So there should be lots of pictures with him in the community or with community leaders. As I said, the website isn't on there. He does properly identify it on the front, so that's good. But, you know, I look at these pieces, and Andy Wilson's piece is good, average to good. It easily could be streamlined into a great piece. Phil Hosp's piece, it is disjointed, it is confusing. I would do a do-over. It either needs to be all about Phil being part of the community, or it needs to be an attack either on Andy or on a straw man, as he's trying to do here, about backroom deals and the people not being represented. Now, if you want to get the most bang for your buck and have powerful mailing that impacts with the voters, if you want to have the best mail at glossy mailers, there's an article on the Campaign School website titled 7 Rules for Winning with Glossy Mailers. We cover all 7 points that I just went through, gets into a little more detail, and that way you can look at that and you can put together really good glossy mailers. Now, I'll be back with the next part in our case study, and in the next part we're going to keep looking at mail that Phil Hosp and Andy Wilson are sending against each other, but I want to look at negative mail. These guys are duking it out, and so they've been sending some pretty negative pieces. I wouldn't even say that they're nasty pieces, because there's nothing that's made me go, oh God, I can't believe they sent that out, or I can't believe he did that. There's been none of that, but they are definitely duking it out for this council job. And so I wanted to take a look at their negative pieces, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. And so I don't want you to miss that out. And I want you to make sure that you get all the videos that we're publishing and all the articles that we're publishing on the Campaign School. So if you go to our website, thecampaignschool.com/signs, thecampaignschool.com/signs, we'll get our articles and videos sent directly into your inbox, and for signing up to get those updates, we will send you a free ebook, The 5 Secrets of Winning Campaign Signs. So that's it for now. I appreciate you tuning in to check out what's going on. I hope this has been informative and helpful. And once again, thank you for watching. And remember, anything that you need to know about running and winning a race, we have it here at the Campaign School. That's why we're your guide to winning your election.